All right, we are live post-game. We'll let some people get in here, including Lance Taylor, who will be with us in just one moment. Dunaway and I enjoying an ice-cold Diet Coca-Cola.
Open up the chips and let's talk about the game. Bingo.
Had a goodie. That was a dominant defensive performance by Alabama, Dunaway. I know people want to focus on offense. Let's start with defense. To give up 10 points in that game against what has been a high-powered offense, but last I looked, Ole Miss had 56 rush yards out of Quinshon Judkins. That was all their positive rush yards, 56. To hold a Lane Kiffin team under 100 yards rushing is a heck of an accomplishment.
They had 56 as a team, 56 by Judkins, 6 by Dart, 3 by Bentley, and Watkins lost 9. That defensive line rotating in and out, I thought the defensive tackles and defensive line had their best game this season so far. They got pressure. They contained those sweeps all day long. And here's what I want Nick Saban to say in the post-game news conference. See if this would play well with the Alabama fans. Ready? You ready?
All right. So if Nick Saban's like, all right, everybody, thank you. Good win for us.
Good win for us. I want to say I don't know who's calling Alabama. I don't. Here's what it should be. He's always, guys. I think he enjoyed the crowd today. It was a good win for us. I'm not sure who was calling offensive plays for them, but I was really impressed by how our defense adjusted throughout the game. That would be the great line to start. I don't know who was calling their offensive plays today, but I thought we adjusted. That'd be fantastic.
I mean, especially, with 6 minutes to go, it is still possible. You're down 2 touchdowns, and they were moving. Ross Tucker was right. If you guys didn't know, you've never had that crew before. Jason McCourty, really good NFL defensive back. Ross Tucker, I think, is really good at what he does. And he was right that they were just moving so slow. And then they were running all this back, all this horizontal stuff, nothing vertical. I just didn't get it. I did not get it one bit. Me
either. And I will tell you this, they looked tired and exhausted at the end. Alabama was beating them, on through the guard, through the tackle, through the tight ends. They were beating them everywhere on big plays there in the final 7 minutes. But I didn't think Ole Miss went at pace the entire game. Did you? It never looked like they tried to turn it up. They never tried to turn up the speed at all. No, not at all. Landmine Believer is right. Other than the fourth quarter against Texas, this defense has been elite. They got a little gassed fourth quarter against Texas and the dam broke, but I agree with him. This has been Kevin Steele or Tavares Robinson, whoever's calling it. Or Ken Winston Hunt. Yeah, whoever it is, they have got an elite defense. Or they've got the makings of an elite defense. Now, obviously, injury bug is starting to hit just a little bit. So you're going to have to see how that goes. But they've got the makings of an elite defense this year. Yeah, they really do. And that's what had to happen because it was, I thought it was Throwback Saturday. I thought we were paying tribute to the Gene Stallings era early on. The JP game. I mean, as you sit there and it's field goal. And, listen, it's a win and Lane can't chirp. So all that's going to be positive. But there are a lot of things that it's going to every week you're going to have to sit here and sort of grind it out and hope the defense continues to be spot on and hope Jalen continues to take some of the good stuff and move it forward to the next game and then stack good on good as you move forward. But, in this, second half, you saw them actually get under center. You block a punt and then you're inside the 2, not exactly the 1, but you're inside the 2. And you're in the shotgun and you snap it over the guy's head and you got a freaking monster of a physical specimen as your quarterback. How is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles not taught everybody how to go in short yardage situation? You could run that play 3 times and get into the end zone. And say what you want, Jim, about what the backs do on pass pro. That's a physical group of backs. So you bring McClellan and Roydale Williams in there and just do that Eagles push with Milroe, how big he is. And I don't know if you've heard, Alabama's got the biggest offensive line in the universe. Yes. I don't see how you stop that on any short yardage situation for Alabama. Yeah. Well, let me just say, as a guy who has been around Nick Saban a lot, I appreciate him all week long worrying more about the wins and not the clicks. Wouldn't you agree with that? Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning ran that mouth a little bit today and backed it up. Here's Lance Taylor joining us now. Still 42-6, but Lance, your $1,000,000 lock of the year hit. Your AirPods are not connected. There you go. You got it now?
No, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Repeat the
we were
question
laughing,
for him.
we were laughing about Dan Lanning's comments about playing for wins, not clicks, and all he's done is put up 42 on Colorado. That has never been a game.
Well, here's the frustrating thing is I thought they'd score 60 plus, and they could have. Like, it seemed like he wanted to pound that ass, and then they kind of tapped out. That first and goal really hurt that they didn't get in. But I can't believe I'm going to lose this team total. We had over the 46.5 on the team total. We need 5 points. I go up top here on 3rd and 4 if I'm.
I wouldn't put it past Dan Lanning the way he's talked in this game. He has run his mouth this whole game.
Yeah.
Even at halftime, did y'all guys flip over at halftime?
We are not satisfied.
We're not. And then he said, "I hope everybody that's been watching the first 3 weeks is watching right now too." Dan Lanning has made this personal, buddy.
Well, I'm a little surprised that Bo Nix didn't play a little bit more. I mean, I know the game was out of hand, but this is a national stage, and he really could have padded the numbers, but it doesn't matter. They won. They covered. We had a 10-unit, biggest play of the year.
Yep.
Winner at Lance's.com.
Let's get your thoughts on Alabama, Lance. You joined us a little bit after Dunaway and I have been talking about it some. Dominant defensive performance by Alabama. We haven't even really touched on the offense yet because we talked so much about the way they played on defense.
Yeah, I thought it was, it was a dominant defensive performance. There's obviously things you got to clean up. I mean, the Milroe interception in the end zone was awful. But, I'm talking to an Alabama fan here, and he's like, I fully expect as a Bama fan that Milroe's going to throw one pick a game. You just got to be able to overcome that. And look, if he can get things done with his legs, I thought Jace McClellan was great today. Again, the defense, the pressure on Jackson Dart, it was a good performance.
Yeah, I don't know if I would grade it as a good performance. It was a winning performance, and I thought the second half was a good second half. I thought the first half was just riddled with mistakes. I mean, the defense and the special teams laying their guts out there. And LT, what was it, 4 times in the red zone, and you get 2 field goals, and then you end up with that snap over the head when it should have been a gimme touchdown after a great special teams play. Those will come back to bite you, when you start playing the LSUs, the Tennessees of the world down the road. But today it was good enough for a win, and it keeps Lane from chirping all week long. And the rest.
Yeah, look, and it's a double-digit win against a ranked team. And again, we don't really know how good Ole Miss is. But Alabama's defense is going to have to carry them. They're going to have to run the football, try not to turn it over. I mean, this is going to be the early on Nick Saban championship type teams. If you want to win a championship, this is not going to be the Nick Saban teams we've seen over the last 6, 7, 8 years.
Wild scenario there where Alabama kicked it on what everybody thought was 3rd down. I went back 2 or 3 times and looked at that.
Right.
Did you? I don't know if you guys ever saw what happened, but what happened was they didn't flip the down marker, and it was still right next to the post when Alabama ran the quarterback sneak. Right as Alabama started that play, they start to move the chain. So Alabama did run a quarterback sneak on 1st down, thinking it was 3rd and short. So for those in the chat room that might not have had a chance to go back and look at that, and you're talking about it over there, that's what happened. It's not like Alabama was in the hurry up. I don't know what the officials were doing there. That's a poor job by the officials.
You were probably rewinding, watching it as Gene. How do you say his last name?
Gene Serator. Yeah.
He explained it on. He had done what you did, Brownie. He went back and watched it, and he said they actually got the 1st down, but they were late moving the chain. So Alabama thought they were running a 3rd and short quarterback sneak, but really it was a 1st down play, and they never got the box changed, and it just was a miscommunication is the way they called it. It still is a officiating game management error by the officiating crew. But they didn't get shorted it down. So I've seen people get extra downs, and I think I've seen people get shorted downs. I don't think I've ever seen you get the actual number of downs you're supposed to get, but it'd be all miscommunicated in the whole shooting match of it all. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was very, very odd to see all of that happen and the way all that played out. But Alabama ends up getting the 24-10 win. You can't say it wasn't a game. It was definitely a game, Dunaway, a very close game, but still 24-10 win. I thought in the second half, Alabama showed some promise. That second half Alabama team looked like the team you want to see from Alabama. Maybe not as dominant as they've been over the years, but that team played well enough that if you could replicate that second half play on both sides of the ball, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, right now it's third quarter Alabama's best Alabama, right? Third quarter Alabama's best Alabama, because they had the lead after the third against Texas, 16-13, lost it a little bit in the fourth. They were really good in the third and the fourth today. So maybe, as I said before Lance joined us, maybe they can start stacking some of the good stuff on it, Lance, and carry over to next week.
Yeah, I agree with Brown, and that's why I said it was a good win, not a great win. But when you win by double digits and your defense plays like that in the second half, I mean, that was an impressive defensive performance. Alabama offensively, this is a team that's not going to be able to play from behind. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But when you start to look at the schedule out in front of Alabama, I mean, these are all obviously winnable games. They're going to be favored in every game.
Yeah. Scott says second half Bama team shows up, they got a chance to win the West. I agree with that. Now, we haven't seen Ole Miss tonight. Ole Miss is about to play Arkansas here in just a little bit. LSU. LSU's about to play Arkansas here in just a little bit. We'll see if LSU can put together back-to-back performances the way they played last Saturday against State. Their game against State, LT, they look like one of the best teams in the country. And just like they had looked against Florida State. So if they can do that, I think that is a team that obviously could win the West and maybe even the national championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you guys I stay away from 11 o'clock. So we ended up putting Texas A&M out there. Just felt too good about it. That was one of those weird flukish games where Auburn had a chance to cover late, which would have been bag breaking. But I stayed away from Clemson. I like Clemson a lot. They played their asses off. And Dunaway, you told us the story about the kicker. I didn't even know the story until you brought it up this week. And the kids' parents are in the stand and misses a 29-yarder. Yeah. It's almost like, Dabo, don't do that. You need to recruit a good kicker. This story was made up too much, built up too much, and it completely backfired on him.
Yeah, and he made the early one, the first one that put him up 3-0, and Dabo smiled, and everyone felt good. They showed the parents all happy. But it's coming down, and they played for that. They tried to milk it all the way down as far as they could to play for that chippy field goal, and it was going to be a great story. I know we do our headlines on Friday for Monday, but I tweeted it out instantly. I went, his last name is Weitz, W-E-I-T-Z. I went, oh no, wide whites. Which should be the headline if they still have newspapers tomorrow in Greenville, South Carolina. But, it was the sack, fumble, scoop, score, touchdown that was the difference in that game. That even had Florida State getting that game to overtime. I thought the Clemson defense played good. I thought Klubnik played a better game. Clemson outplayed them today.
They did.
The football game.
But Clemson's done now. I mean, season's over.
Yeah. They're even 0-2 in the ACC. The national, they're 0-2 in the conference.
Yeah, you're right. That is crazy. Not only Lance was the scoop and score big, but you got to give Jordan Travis credit for that pass in overtime. That was an incredible touchdown throw in overtime.
Yeah, he struggled throughout the day, but Keon Coleman comes up big, and that Florida State team, I don't know if they're elite. I mean, they looked elite against LSU in the second half. Again, I don't know if we have any elite teams.
Let's move to Auburn. We haven't talked a lot about Auburn yet. I don't even know where to start with that offensive performance. I've watched Auburn football my entire life. I would definitely say Dunaway, it is in the contest for the worst single game offensive performances I've ever seen out of the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, I will just tell you, I just talked to EG, and she just gave us positive news on what we were talking to her about.
I saw that, yes.
So more on that later.
More coming. Hang on, Lance. Hang on. You were muted. What'd you say, Lance?
Did it get asked?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She just said we got it.
Yes.
So
we'll see.
Nice.
More coming later from Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. So stay tuned to our social media platforms throughout the day. EG will have a special something for us a little bit later on. But you're right. 56 yards passing, Brown. In modern day football, not to sound like the radio announcer in Bull Durham, but in this age of the modern day athlete, to have 56 yards passing, and I just don't know what you do offensively moving forward. How do you do it? I mean, you have some gutsy guys, the running backs I thought took a step forward, but the offensive line can't protect Peyton Thorne. And when he's gun shy now, a couple of times where it felt like he had time to throw the ball, he's already ducking and not throwing. Robbie came in for a little bit. I don't know what you do. That was a rough watch in that contest against Texas A&M. And on the flip side, LT, gutsy effort by that Auburn defense. They were flying around in the first half, keeping them in the game. I thought they played their ass off.
They had opportunities in the first half. I thought Hugh Freeze offensively called a great game. I mean, so the route to Fromm wide open would have been a explosive play. It was Jay Fair wide open on the wheel route.
Yep.
That's a touchdown.
Yep.
That's a walk-in
He
touchdown.
walks in. He walks in. Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought the drive where they're just running it down their throat. I mean, I thought Hugh Freeze in the first half at least called a really good game. He has got so many limitations at quarterback. I mean, I guess you go with Gerner moving forward. I don't know how you guys feel. Why not? I mean, what does it matter?
I mean, I don't know what he looks like, Brown. I mean, obviously, is he that close to, or he would have already had a shot? I mean, they've rolled through the rotation a couple of times.
I mean, we know this. Peyton Thorne is awful. Robbie Ashford could not hit water if he fell out of a boat. And I think if Gerner is going to be a quarterback of the future, you need to let the guy go ahead and play. I mean, again, Hugh Freeze is calling a hell of a game. The defense is going to battle. And the Brian Batique guy that they got from South Florida, I don't know why that guy's not returning kicks and getting more opportunities in space. There are a couple. Rivaldo's a playmaker, I believe. I think Shane Hooks can be really good. Jay Fair can be really good. Brian Batique can be really good. I mean, those are guys that can make plays. You just have awful options at quarterback right now. And that offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, a ton of sacks today, Dunaway. Damari Alston got hurt. That's something you got to watch there because he's been a playmaker for Auburn. It was, I didn't think Auburn's defense played that bad. They had them in the game. They gave them their touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
bigger question to you guys moving forward. Wegman goes out and we've got A&M at lanceslog.com minus the 9.5. And I'm like, oh, damn, there's a reason Max Johnson doesn't play. But when they actually, when Bobby Petrino put him in spots to try to make plays, not only with the arm, that guy's got speed that I didn't realize.
Tell me a time when Max Johnson has been in the game, he hasn't made plays for them, but he never wins the job. But it seems like that happens all the time. The guy throws a good ball, a catchable ball. Doesn't look like the strongest arm, but he throws a catchable ball. He's fast. He avoids it. I agree with you. It may have been the best thing that happened today for Texas A&M because they seem to have had Wegman dialed in. They seemed to Auburn's defense were knocking him all over the place.
So much better. Lancey came in and threw that deep ball for the touchdown. That was a professional throw. That ball was right on the money and pretty good coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. A great finish by Evan Stewart. But yeah, the throw was incredible. And he looks the part of an NFL quarterback. Not only does he have the size, but again, he's got good speed. And we were blown away. I was like, damn, that is Brad Johnson's kid. And watching him at LSU, watching him, limited time, I never saw him be able to run the football like that.
But wasn't that his story at LSU too, that because of their quarterback rotation that year, I think it was the TJ Finley year, that every time he came in, it seemed like he made plays then too, and ended up, I think, at some point being their starter before he left. The guy, every time I see him play, I'm always like, how come he doesn't get a better shake, or how come he doesn't ever win the job in practice?
Yeah, it's wild to consider that, the way he came in and played. So Alabama wins 24-10. Auburn loses in College Station. Not a great performance by the Auburn Tigers. Dunaway.
Yeah, I just want to point out, though, as LT talked about the offensive line, 7 sacks and 15 tackles for losses in that game for Auburn. 7 sacks, 15 tackles for losses that Auburn gave up, that A&M's defense got. So DJ Durkin, that was their best defensive performance, but, probably a lot to do with the way Auburn's offense was.
10 penalties, 3 of 15 on third downs. I mean, just sloppy. And you can tell how frustrated Hugh Freeze is right now.
Yeah. And you go back to the Bama defense as well, 5 sacks and 10 tackle for losses against the Lane Kiffin offense. That was impressive, I thought, for the Bama defense on those negative plays.
So Lane Kiffin, I just got this text from our buddy, our teammate Tyler Siskey. He said if Alabama wins 9 games, I think we all agree Alabama's going to win 9 games. I mean, if the bottom falls out, there's probably only 2 losses. Lane Kiffin will be 1-20 as a head coach with teams that finish the year with 9 wins or more.
2 things. One, that's an amazing number. Wow.
My God.
Yeah, like
that is bad.
So he's got no legitimate big wins.
Well, he's got 1, I guess, if you call it a big one.
Right. So he's got 1. So he doesn't beat any good teams, is what that stat tells you.
Yeah.
And the other is, it's going to be such a week-to-week battle with Alabama. You want to say, yeah, it feels like 9 wins, or 10 wins or 11 wins, whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to say it's automatic. I mean, I think every week's going to be just like we just saw. Even Arkansas, all of it. It's going to be 1990, 94, 1996.
Yeah, but what are the games that you're really concerned about? I mean, obviously LSU is one of those games.
Arkansas next week. I mean, any SEC game.
Tennessee, we'll see Arkansas tonight, Lance.
Yeah, I think A&M, Tennessee, and LSU really are the only games you got to worry about. That the Auburn quarterback situation against that Alabama defense, at least right now where we are, I mean, I don't see them putting a drive together against an Alabama defense.
Well, they'll have Rocket Sanders back probably, but next week.
No, I'm talking about Auburn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll say this, Dunaway, watching Texas A&M's offense today against Auburn, I would imagine Alabama's defense is every bit as good as Auburn's defense, if not better. And that A&M offense didn't do a whole lot. Now, I do wonder, like you brought up, Dunaway, I wonder if there is some thought by Jimbo of maybe looking more at Max Johnson after what he did today.
It looked really good. I mean, you hate to lose your job to an injury, but I'd give him a look. I mean, you got a lot of weapons. I mean, there's 2-3 future NFL receivers on that team. So, whoever can get them the football.
Yeah. Troy says Auburn won't get past 35 next week with Thorne and Ashford.
I mean, I don't think, again, I think Gerner might be given that opportunity, but I don't know how much different it's going to be. I really don't.
Yeah.
He also says Gerner's either scared to play or he can't read a book. I mean, when you watch their offense, I don't know what Gerner is not doing that he can't get in there, because if you flush the Samford game and just say, hey, that was an FCS defense, the last 2 outings for this Auburn offense have been abysmal, Dunaway. They've been awful. I mean, if you flush Samford, if you just look at Cal and A&M.
And you can't.
They were both road trips.
Freeze. I don't blame Hugh Freeze. I don't know about you guys.
No.
First half, play calls were there.
Yeah, you nailed it exactly. The plays are working. They're open. Either they don't have time to hit the open receiver, or they're overthrowing them or underthrowing them or choosing the wrong ones. But the plays are open. They're wide open.
On Alabama, Benjamin says Dallas Turner finally showed up like he was Kuiper's DE number 1. That was a good game by Dallas Turner. He looked like the hype.
Hey, and I mean, you start. I mean, Braswell played good. Blackshire played good. Tim Smith had some plays. Otis was big in there. Hell, I didn't know some of these guys.
What's the word on Deontay?
Tim Keenan III was good.
Check on that, Lance, because that's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, it is. He got calls the plays.
Had a knee brace on when he was walking towards the tunnel.
So, we've been doing the show, so I haven't seen if Nick Saban has updated that. But
I'll look as you drive the show, Brandon. Who's the show brought to you by today?
Lance'sLight.com. What we got left tonight, Lance? You got some games still on the board tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at my board right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more plays out there. 6 more plays. Yeah. Right now we are 2, 3, 2. We're 4-3. Not a great start, but again, we're playing units, and our 10-unit play was Oregon. So we're up a lot of units right now. So, and I told people this, and there's a lot of guys I've seen hammered down on them. I was like, whatever your max bet is, whether that's $100 or $5,000, put your max bet on Oregon. And I think you can tell by the end of the first quarter that game was over.
Yes, men and boys out there today in that one. And next week, it's the big noon kickoff. All of Fox will be there again for USC at Colorado. And don't you guys expect it to be about the same thing?
I mean, USC's offense is better than Oregon's, Lance. And you saw Colorado's defense. They had no answer for Oregon. USC's offense is better.
Nick Saban. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and each week that goes by, I think Colorado is going to have less depth, as sad as that is.
Right.
So I think the number probably will be 21-24 USC. We'll see what happens with USC tonight, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
This is the quote from Nick Saban postgame on Deontay Lawson from Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News. He has a sprained ankle, a pretty good one, says Saban. So he's going to be day-to-day moving forward at this point.
There you go. That's better than what it could be, right?
Yep. a pretty good one, according to Nick Saban there. And he also added this again from Nick of the Tuscaloosa News. I've got a lot of things testing my patience right now. And he went on to mention 5 touchdowns this season being called back because of penalties or not scoring when you have 1st and goal from the 1.
Yeah.
So I think Alabama fans are excited to see his patience getting tested and that he's starting to get a little upset. Maybe that the officiating on the downs thing sort of got the blood going, got his vocal cords loosened up to when he starts screaming at people again.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know about you guys. I mean, the first half, Alabama's offense was awful. But if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm somewhat optimistic because I don't think there's a dominant team in the SEC. You won the game by double digits. The defense is going to be really good. And I think this is a team. I mean, Nick Saban's the best ever. This team's going to get better.
Yeah.
Hey, I think Jalen Milroe is going to get better.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, he was a little bit better in the second half than he was in the first.
He was, no doubt.
Hey, hats off to Ty Simpson, too, because Jalen has to come out because he gets the breath knocked out of him running the 2-point play. And so you're running out there, and he makes a play. The play they call doesn't work, so he does the draw play up the middle, even gets face masked and still makes it in on the dive. I thought that was a great play considering you're just cold on the sidelines and you have to jump in and do that. So hats off to Ty Simpson being ready to go. And, I never thought about it, Brown, on going for 2 there because I watched so many NFL games. And to me in the NFL, 9, not kicking it at 9 or 10, I always that's a go for 2 situation for me there. But dude made a point on the broadcast, kick it to get it to 9 because it's 8 right now instead of going for 2 to make it 10.
I was surprised they went for 2. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, but it worked, so it was good.
All right, we got some late games coming up. We're going to go watch those. We'll be back with you guys 9 o'clock Monday. Alabama wins, Auburn loses. Still plenty of football left tonight. You guys enjoy it. Lance'sLock.com for all the games. MyBookie.ag code next round.
Yeah, I see Lunsford said we're up 13-something units right now. We really should be up like 23 units because Oregon legitimately laid down in the second half and tried not to score. And it was so against what Dan Lanning was doing, the fake punt, which I saw somebody mention in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat. That up back looked like a Australian rules football player.
Yeah,
I mean, number 98, I would say he's about 280 and he could fly.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Hey, just because we won't get a chance to react until Monday, just real quickly, Iowa State has beaten the brakes off of Gundy again today. Right now, it's
up 14.
He's just scored, so he's just cut it to about to be to 7 or to 8. Also, you've got Neil Brown in West Virginia now, surprisingly 3-0 today. That's happened.
I'm excited for Neil. I mean, I think we all like Neil. We know who represents Neil, the guys that represent Neil, and he was always very accessible with his time and a good dude. And that's one of those jobs. It's not a great job, but it's a good job, and that fan base expects something. And with all the pressure on him, I mean, back-to-back weeks, against Pitt and now this week against what I still believe is a pretty good Texas Tech team. Those are great wins.
And it was 7-0 Rutgers, and then Michigan put down the hammer. That was good. Utah, like you said, LT, even without Cam Rising, who is in street clothes again, got the win over UCLA. Yeah, I don't know either.
That's a major story because without Cam Rising, you can't survive this Pac-12 gauntlet. And I talked to our friend Brock Heward, one of our teammates, and he said he's been practicing, but he just hadn't been cleared playing games. It's weird.
Yeah.
Maryland and Louisville are both 4-0, and one's in the Big Ten, not the ACC. The other one's in the ACC, but they're both 4-0. And Kansas got the win over BYU, and they covered, right, LT?
Kansas did cover. They won the game by
field goal.
Yep.
Somebody knew the number. Field goal.
Yeah, I love it. We ended up laying 8.5 with Kansas, and that was one of those back and forths because it was interesting. BYU's last score, they were going to go for 2. And then a legal procedure pushed them back, and they went for 1, which put it at 8. So we needed another Kansas touchdown. But, yeah, we got home with that one.
How do you think Notre Dame, Ohio State plays out? They were sort of split on the game day set today.
Well, I got a text from a guy, and he's like, you have completely thrown me off. Guy that I kind of know. And he's like, I absolutely love – I guess I'll just go on and give it out. I absolutely love Notre Dame. And now you're coming with this big play on Ohio State. Ohio State is so much better than Notre Dame talent-wise. To me, this is what you get with Oregon and Colorado. This is what you got with Alabama and Ole Miss. And you're getting points with Ohio State, and the only reason is because of the quarterback position. And that can be big, but Ohio State can run the football. And I think Travion Henderson will be the difference in this game and Ohio State's defense.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these two big games we're about to watch, I think I have a feeling of how I think Penn State, Iowa, don't give it away, LT, Penn State, Iowa, and the way Notre Dame, Ohio State's going to go. The best viewing window we're probably about to get is UCF, Kansas State, FS1, if you guys want to watch that.
Oregon State and Washington State, the throwaway bowl, the two teams nobody wants. Washington State's already up 7-0. Again, fun atmosphere. Two really good teams. And Damian Martinez, I'm watching him right now, tightrope down the sideline. If you haven't seen this kid play, one of the best running backs in football. And because he doesn't have a conference, he's only a sophomore. I'm paying that guy millions of dollars to come to my team next year.
What are they looking at? He stepped out 4 times. It's not a touchdown, is it?
1, 2, you're right. Stepped out a lot.
Pick one of those yard lines and mark the ball. Let's go on.
They're not even in field goal range now.
Yeah. Good Washington uniform. I like that smoky gray uniform they're wearing tonight.
Yeah. Good Penn State uniform too tonight.
They never changed. Same uniform has been 100 years.
Hey, by the way, Kentucky, what are they thinking with the silver helmet?
Oh, the chrome? I can't stand it. Can't stand it. That is so 2012. Yeah.
All right, boys. Everybody enjoy the games tonight. EG has got some stuff coming out on social media. Make sure you follow her on social media. And
can I say one thing?
Yeah, man.
So I saw our buddy Jace over in the chat asking who's calling the defensive calls. Jace ain't the first to ask that. Stay tuned.
EG is going to get somebody's opinion on that. We'll see you guys Monday, 9 o'clock.